going to tell you the story about how my dad died before I was 14. We're just going to find the log and then we'll get into it. Just check the steps. That's pretty cool. You should say that in the vlog. Oh. It is worth noting, I absolutely hate spiders. And example one is that there's a lot of them in the bush. So please, like, just comment and like or something, because I'm doing a lot of effort walking between spiders for this video. Oh. Spots now, and I'm gonna drink a bush coke. That's not a bush coke anymore. Oh, this is nice and wet. Oh, I just need to remove this because they don't pay me any money for this video. So my mom got pregnant with me at the age of 19, which is relatively young, depending on where you are from in the world, but it's a relatively young age. And because of that, she was obviously not married at that stage, and it came as a very big shock to both of them, obviously she being pregnant, and my real dad decided to not be a part of the picture. And there's a lot of details towards that part of the story that we're not going to get into, but basically grew up without having my real dad in my life at all. We then moved in with my grandparents, obviously, because my mom was still young, but she later on met the man that she thought was the man of her dreams. And they got married. I was about, I think, 4 or 5 at that stage. And I finally had a dad, which I never had before that point. And things seemed to go fairly well at the start until they didn't. My dad, the new dad, my stepdad, was a severe alcoholic. And when I say severe, I mean it in every sense of the word. When it comes to verbal abuse, when it comes to physical abuse, when it comes to addicted to the actual alcohol itself, in every sense of the word, he was addicted. And our money, our relationships, and our family suffered severely because of that. And as I grew up, I was never seen as his real child, which I wasn't. But as a young 6-7-year-old boy, it's very difficult to understand why your dad wants you to call him uncle and not dad. And as a result, we never had a fantastic relationship. I knew he was abusive towards my mom. He would always almost rub that in my face to say there's nothing I can do about it. I'm too small, I'm too little, I'm too weak. And he would call me various names because of the whole situation. But I decided to move out of my mom's house and move in with my grandma and grandpa, which was at that time the best decision I could have made for my entire life. And as things progressed, it just got worse in their house. And I obviously was not aware of the situation until one night in, I believe I was grade 8, first year of high school, when I had to study for an economics test, which we had the next day. And as that day came on, I was studying. It was probably 9 o'clock at night, and my mom called my grandma and grandpa to say something had happened. And I could hear bits and pieces through the phone as they were talking, but I couldn't hear the whole story. And as they got off of the phone, my grandma immediately came to hug me and to tell me that he had passed away. And at the time, we didn't know why or how, and rushed over to my mom's house. So we got to my mom's house to find out that he knew he was suffering from depression, but not that severe. But it was in part from the abuse of alcohol as well. So from a very young age, I've had a massive hate for alcohol. I never drink, I never have, I never will. And I'm a big advocate for helping people who suffer from alcoholism to fix the problem. But we got there and figured out what had happened. He had shot himself, only to later find out, as I became older, that one of the reasons for this, because after he died, we lost everything, the house, the cars, everything. My mom moved in with me and my sister to our grandma and grandpa's house once again and started to rebuild her life from there. And one of the reasons that I see it now was obviously the severe debt and trauma and problems that the alcohol came with. Because it's not, people think the only implication is that you can't go there without drinking. There's financial implications. There's relationship. There's how it makes you feel. There's how it makes you feel when you drink and how it makes you feel if you don't have a drink. There's so many things that happen in someone's mind that is consumed by an addiction like alcohol or drugs. And it's something that they feel they can't explain to any of us because we don't understand it, which is true. But in a sense, is the only type of people that can help them. Speaking to someone else who struggles with it, there's no help for you at all. And as we moved on, this was grade 8. I didn't have to go write the test the next day, that goes without saying. But I came back to school and quickly realized how fast life moves on. As a week or two later, everyone had forgotten what had happened in the school. No one was so concerned about you anymore. You still had your sessions with your, is it a psychiatrist? With you still had your sessions with your psychiatrist, and you just had to move on, figure out what life would be like after this. And this being the second dad that I lost in effect after losing my first dad because he never pitched up for anything. He's probably getting the milk. We we I had to learn to move on, and the only way I could do that was through performance. My biggest outlet was performance. I wanted to be the best at anything I touched, to show myself and the world that I don't need a dad. I could be the best at sports without a dad. I could be the best briar without a dad. I could do anything that any other person could do. I could do better without having the support of a dad. That became my whole life philosophy. And at the start, it did not work at all. I sucked at basically everything, including academics, leadership, sports, all of that. And a year or two in, training severely hard, studying hard, reading books, doing whatever I can to become better, it actually worked. And I became a phenomenal sports person. I became a phenomenal speaker. I became a phenomenal scholar. And not in the sense that I was the best in the school, just in the sense that I could finally prove to myself that I am great or greater than I would have been if they were there. And that's without their help. As I did that, I realized the true meaning in achievement in life and why alcoholism probably sucks that away, because I could measure my life according to what I wanted to do truly and how well I could do at that without the support of others. Whereas when an addiction comes in, my belief is, and this is purely based on what I believe and what I feel, your only measure of worth is how you feel once you take that sip. Your only, it can't be measure of worth. It is measure of worth. Your only measure of worth is how you feel when you take that hit, or after 4 beers or 5 beers. And I feel the biggest problem with that is that it's such a singular thing, and without performance and without community, that it's a way for you to slowly die. Even if you never die from that, you die to yourself, your achievements, your family, your relationships very early on. Because the only way you can measure whether you're happy, successful, performing or not is, did I have a drink today? Did I take a hit? Did I buy the drugs that I needed? And I think it's such a lonely way to live that that's the reason we lose most people that are on that track. And this whole thought and idea is exactly what led us to this point, which is what my whole life has been about and is about, what this channel is about, and what we want to showcase to you guys. And if you take a walk with me, I'll explain it. This being our first video in a classic fashion, we lost volume on the walk. So I'm just going to explain it to you guys real quick. Since 2019, I started speaking on stages all over South Africa, mostly children's home and small conferences. And in 2025, the goal is much, much simpler. The goal is to speak in 2 cities every single month for the rest of the year and build a massive organization while doing that. We have a side business as well, and this will be the main part of the channel, documenting building the business, speaking all over the country and hopefully the world. And this is the journey that we want to take you guys on with us. This is something that you are interested in. If the story resonates with you, if our mission resonates with you, or if you just want to see a bunch of 20-year-olds trying to build a crazy big organization in South Africa, then I invite you to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. We're going to be posting one video every single week. I want to hear your thoughts on them. Have a good one. Now, the next one.